As I'm sure you're all aware by now, there was a massive patch for Black Ops 3 today for the upcoming first DLC, Awakening. A link to the complete list of patch notes can be found in the description. There seems to be a lot of confusion with how Treyarch does their patches and patch notes. So here's how it works. Treyarch does a lot of hotfixing. A hotfix does not require an actual download. They fix something, you log on as normal, and it's changed. A patch, on the other hand, requires a download. So that's two separate things. A hotfix equals no download, a patch equals download. So now this is where it gets a bit confusing. For some reason or another, Treyarch does not put out patch notes for hotfixes. The only thing we receive is a vague reference from David Vonderhaar on Twitter. Then, when they decide to do an actual patch, they take all the hotfixes and add them into the actual patch notes. So for example, clear back on December 18th, Vonderhaar did a hotfix and said this: Safeguard win condition improvements. Talon final kill cam. Now if you look at today's patch notes, you can clearly see both of these things listed. If you look under score streaks, it says addressed issue where the Hellstorm vision set would show in a Talon's final kill cam. Likewise, if you search for Safeguard, it says adjusted win timing in Safeguard. So remember, both of these things actually got fixed and put into the game clear back on December 18th, but they're just now being listed in the notes today. The same applies to probably half or more of the patch notes. For instance, if you look at the weapon buffs, it mentions shotguns, specifically the KRM and the Argus. Once again, these were buffed in a hotfix weeks ago. They were not rebuffed. They simply are now listed in the notes since there were no notes during the hotfix. The same thing applies for the Rap's score streak. The notes mention a buff to health, but this happened weeks ago as well. It went from taking 3 rockets to now taking 4. If you were to check after you download the patch, it still takes 4, because it was not rebuffed. So hopefully you guys follow me on that. So with that out of the way, some of the things listed in the notes are actually new. And I wanted to go over just a few of these. My personal favorite are the Nuketown adjustments. If you don't have Nuketown yet, you probably won't understand these, but I'll still show you. So the patch notes read as follows. Updated blue car profile to reduce poor engagements. Tweaked unique domination and demolition cover objects to reduce poor engagements. So what they refer to as poor engagements are the worst head glitching spots I've ever seen. In particular, there was a spot right on the B flag where people would post up the entire game. Not only were these boxes not penetrable even with FMJ, this spot offered control of almost the entire map. You could always tell if someone was camping their dick off in this spot in the entire game because each kill would be a defend. At the end of the game, their defends would be off the charts. I mean, just look at this. This guy, USMC0930, had 61 kills, and of those, 33 were defends. This guy was clearly camping here. But let me show you a brief clip from the gameplay. Anytime I got anywhere near the middle of the map, the smug little prick would be posted up behind his precious box. This spot was extremely hard to counter. I'd normally end up just going to my double smoke and thermal class to annoy him. Anyway, they finally fixed it. What they did was put an additional box on top of the spot. So now they can't see diddly squat. And again, as I mentioned, you can now shoot through these boxes. So this is what it looked like before the patch, and here's what it looks like after. Definitely a satisfying remedy to the issue. Next, I wanted to talk about the Cerberus buff. According to the patch notes, its dropship got a health increase, its AI got a target speed increase, an accuracy increase, and a damage increase. When player controlled, the missile accuracy is increased as well as the projectile speed. The Cerberus has always been lethal when player controlled though, but when left up to the AI, this thing was terrible. While I can't show you any proof of anything they increased with the AI, I did seem to notice that it locked on faster and was a bit more accurate. I still could evade it pretty easily though. What I can show you is the missile accuracy and the projectile speed buffs of when it's player controlled. So this is a Cerberus I was in pre-buff a couple of weeks ago. As you can see, when I fire the rockets, they fly all over the place. Half the time they start out straight, but then they rise up and are clearly off target. Despite me annihilating these guys with the streak, they clearly had a mind of their own. And here's another pre-buff clip. This time, I'm going to measure the amount of time it takes to fire all 3 rockets as fast as possible. So from the moment the first one deploys until the moment the last one also does, it took 2.067 seconds. Now today, after downloading the patch, not only did I instantly notice that the rockets didn't fly in a zigzagging pattern anymore and were more or less straight, but the time it took to deploy all 3 rockets was slightly decreased. It's now 2.017 seconds. But the main buff was to the actual rocket speed. Sadly, I couldn't find any pre-buff clips to measure the actual rocket's travel time. However, based on just an eye test when comparing footage, I could definitely notice them reaching their destination quite a bit faster. So overall, these buffs to the Cerberus are fairly decent, and they should make it even more lethal than it already was. I was definitely surprised to see that Rapid Fire caught a buff, and the Awareness perk got nerfed. Both of these will require quite a bit of testing to figure out exactly what they changed, so I'll have to cover these in another video. What I did want to mention is the hidden buff that a certain score streak received. For some reason, this buff was completely excluded from the patch notes, and the buff I'm referring to is to the PowerCore. Some of you may have noticed this already, but the PowerCore was moved in its position on the list of score streaks. It used to be on the bottom row and cost 1,400 points to achieve. Now, however, it costs 1,250 points and can be found just before the wrap score streak. But that's not all. If you saw my BlackCell launcher review, you'll remember that I mentioned that the BlackCell can tell us both how long score streaks last, as well as how many rockets it takes to destroy them. So in this pre-patch clip, you'll see that the score streak lasts about 45 seconds in total. Now I know the screen reads about 38, but it took me about 2 seconds to aim at it first of all. And again, if you didn't see my BlackCell video review, there was also a glitch with this timer. Once it reaches 0, an additional 5 seconds popped up mysteriously. So when we add those 7 seconds together, the PowerCore would last 45 seconds in total. Now this is a clip from today after the buff. You'll see that I scope in as soon as he deploys it. And what do we have here? A duration buff. The PowerCore now lasts for a full 60 seconds. I'll fast forward here and you can see they also fixed the timer glitch. You no longer have to add the 5 seconds to it anymore. Once it hits 0, the streak blows up. So this change is huge. 15 seconds may not seem like much, but if you're chasing that coveted cat pooping the pink Rainbow Master calling card, every second counts. In the Return Fire challenges, arguably the hardest challenge in the entire game is the Power Down challenge, which is where you destroy 5 PowerCores. On the rare occasion you did see a PowerCore, half the time it'd blow up before you could even get a chance to take it out. Since the duration has now increased, and the point cost has now decreased, I'm hoping more people will take the time to run it, which means more opportunities to complete this challenge. And by the way, I do plan on making a video covering the challenge. I just need a few more clips. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about the combat record. I'm sure all of you have seen this by now, but they added the ability to see everyone's combat record. What you may not have known is that you can now show off your calling card showcase, and it's extremely easy to set up. All you have to do is go to the menu and then go over to Barracks. Next, click Multiplayer and then click on Combat Record. Once here, you'll see it in the bottom left hand of your screen. So you can select up to 3 calling cards to show off, including the Dark Ops and Black Matter ones. So let me hop into a free-for-all lobby here and I'll scope someone out. Let's take a look at this guy right here. What is that? Is that supposed to be a match that was just blown out with smoke coming out of it? That's the worst picture of a JoJo I've ever seen. Okay, well let's just check out Mr. Wingalang here and see his combat record. And of course, it's no surprise that Mr. PP here doesn't have his calling card showcase set up. Nor does he even have a very good KD. And by the way, the little people icons next to certain players' names indicate that they're in a party chat, which is another new feature. This way you can easily tell who can hear you if you're using the in-game chat, and who won't due to the party chat. And look at this, Exodus makes its return. They pulled the map entirely from the game to fix a few glitches, so finally it's back. Hopefully everyone's excited for these new DLC maps, especially since David Vonderhaar just made it known that they'll be released into the general map rotation. And I'm a big fan of this. I hated in prior games the fact that the DLC maps had their own playlists. Let me know in the comments if you learned anything from this patch note video. And please do every challenge seeker a favor. Run that PowerCore.